It is 6 p.m. And the July meeting of the City of Lancaster Historical Commission is now called to order. A reminder that we are a recommending body. We use the city's design guidelines and the Secretary of Interior standards for the treatment of historic properties as our guides in deliberation. Make recommendations to City Council, and City Council has the final say on all applications. We are streaming live tonight. We ask that if anyone comes up to speak and members of the public have questions, that they use the microphones, they identify themselves and their place of residence for the record. Anyone online can post questions, but they will not be part of the public record. I will also note that we have a full agenda tonight and ask all applicants and any speakers to be brief so that we can get out of here at a decent hour. So first item on the agenda is approval of minutes from the June 17th meeting. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second?
I'll second.
Those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, motion carried. Also, one final note before we get into the first application. Item number 5 on the agenda, the application for 718 East Mifflin Street has withdrawn from tonight's agenda. If there was anyone here that was here for that particular project, we will not be reviewing that tonight. So moving on to item number 2 on the agenda is project at 354 North Prince Street, City Crossings Unit Owners Association. The application is to demolition of a non-structural brick wall section above a stone foundation on the building's south elevation facing a surface parking lot. So there was someone here. Would you like to come forward? You can come to the table or, okay. Press the button on the microphone to make sure it's working.
Okay.
If you want to introduce yourself and your project.
Sure. My name is Melissa Groff, and I'm an owner at 354 North Prince Street. I run a small private school at the property. So we have, as you can see, a small portion of the wall that has deteriorated over time. I'm a new owner, so the upkeep prior to this point has not been, we're kind of making some changes and updates. So you can see we had a mason come by and it's deteriorating. We actually have pests in that side of the wall. And when we talked about what the options for repairing it, he basically said that, we would be taking the entire wall down, replacing the wall or the window framing and rebuilding the wall.
Sorry, just the brick portion.
Just the brick portion, yes. So our his suggestion and our plan would be to keep the original stone portion of the wall.
Okay, Suzanne, is there another sheet of photos?
I had my site photos.
Oh, okay. I think in the application there were additional photos that showed. Yeah, that showed. There were better photographs showing the deterioration, if you have it handy.
Hey, while she's doing that,
Yeah.
can you do us a favor and move your mic a little closer?
Sure, I'm sorry.
Thank you.
Is that better?
Oh, that's the,
Yeah.
Water Street.
So it's just this wall, correct? The south wall?
Correct. So you can see there's like a delineation between the original building and then it's not incorporated into the building. It's a completely separate.
Originally,
Correct. So the left side of the wall has deteriorated to a point where it's like crumbling. And majority of that left side corner and on the opposite side is actually, you can see where the bricks are kind of falling apart, and that's where we have a squirrel.
So, but I think, Suzanne, the previous photograph that you had, that, that one, that wall faces west, and that wall is not.
No, not at all. We're not doing anything with that wall. That actually was repointed last year, yeah,
That will stay as. Okay.
correct.
Okay.
So do they not meet? Now,
Yeah, they're two separate fragments. Yeah.
Correct, yeah, and there's a slate stone topper on the left side of the wall where the ramp is, and they were suggesting doing the same thing on that side, so there would be like a nice top to that and maintain that kind of stairway
That'll protect
area.
the stone wall.
Correct, yeah, yep.
Okay. Any commission members have any questions or comments about the application? Anyone from the public? Okay, hearing none, then the chair will entertain a motion for the application for demolition.
Mr. Chairman.
go ahead.
Okay. Mr. Chairman, I recommend that City Council approve a certificate of appropriateness for the proposed demolition of a brick wall section on the building's south elevation. South elevation facing a surface parking lot retaining the stone foundation and applying a slate cap. This work meets the Secretary of Interior's standards 2 and 5.
Okay, is there a
That
second?
wasn't, I did put the address into the motion.
Motion has been made and seconded. All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Okay, motion carried.
Okay, thank you.
They are recommending by as you said, it goes on to city council, like it goes on the summer session, we don't meet until August 13th. I'll send you the motion language, you do not have to be present at that meeting, if that's where they'll approve it. And they-
Okay,
All right?
thank you so much.
We have the, Okay. Okay, next item on the agenda is the application for the property at 221 to 227 North Prince Street, Integrity First Capital owner. The application is for reconstruction or rehabilitation of the west brick facade of the 3.5-story commercial building at 227 North Prince Street. We'll kind of qualify this. Suzanne, correct me if I state anything incorrectly. This is not the kind of project that would normally be reviewed by the Historical Commission, but there is an agreement with the city that this would be reviewed by the Historical Commission. So, because normally windows and things like that wouldn't, or even repointing wouldn't be reviewed. So that being said, I'll hand it over to you, Ted.
Okay.
Are you showing yours?
No, not unless you want more information. Less is better. Good evening, Ted Vidoc, architect with Hamill Associates Architects. The owner was intending to be here and he apologizes. His flight got delayed and he got stuck on the West Coast this morning, so I'll be representing him this evening. So I think, as Suzanne had said, this project obviously has had a long history, and the reason we're here tonight is a memorandum of agreement between two owners prior, and their agreement with the city back in 2019 that had to do with some emergency repairs that never actually happened. So this was to permit them to proceed sort of out of sequence of the standard reviews of the Historical Commission and the permitting process. And in exchange for expedience, they had agreed to come back around in a expeditious manner and come before the board for approval. So here we are 5 years later and 2 owners later in an expeditious manner. I think generally, I mean, Suzanne, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but I think, kind of what we're reviewing here this evening is really 2 things relative to this memorandum. That's the reconstruction of the masonry on the Prince Street facade and the window replacement. So what is in the packet that we had presented is a structural report that was prepared by Light Heigl back in 2018, which refers to the condition of the upper 2 stories of this masonry facade. And essentially their recommendation is that it is in perilous condition and needs to be taken down and reconstructed. So that was really the crux of this emergency repair that was happening at that time, and is what led to the stabilization that you see on the site right now with the plywood that's been up on the building for 5 years. So the intent with this project is to continue with the recommendations of the Light Heigl report, which is to deconstruct the masonry on the upper 2 levels of the facade and reconstruct that. The reconstruction is going back with a metal stud backup wall and veneer brick masonry on the upper 2 portions of the facade, leaving the multi-wythe brick masonry below that intact, as well as around all other facades of the building. So the intent of this project from a masonry perspective is to carefully remove the plywood, carefully remove the masonry, document the conditions that are behind that wall, salvage any components of that are salvageable at this point, and reincorporate them into the new facade. That being said, the building was in poor condition 5 years ago, and it's been covered with plywood for 5 years. So the windows are completely gone on the upper 3 stories of that facade. We question the condition of the brick that's in there, as it was in poor condition 5 years ago. But things such as the wood headers and wood sills, we are looking to retain and reuse into the new facade if they're deemed to be in adequate condition. But the overall intent of this is that the facade that was there prior to the stabilization is essentially being reconstructed on the upper 2 floors. So masonry openings would match the original masonry openings. The dental work around the cornice would be reconstructed. So the intent is to put it back the way it was prior to stabilization. One of the comments that Suzanne had in her review was questioning the masonry and some of the details of the masonry. I will say that in our evaluation of the overall condition of the building, we have found just about every size brick that can be manufactured is on that building somewhere. On the main facade, I found about 3 different size bricks and different sort of pointing configurations on that main facade. So, I know it's easy to sit here and say we're going to match existing, but then the question is which of the dozen different existing conditions are we going to match? And which brick are we going to match? All of the masonry on this building is painted, and the intent at the end of this project is to go back and paint the masonry on this front facade. So the specific details of the brick aren't really going to be apparent at the end of this project, but we acknowledge that at some point in the future, some future owner may want to remove the paint and restore the masonry. So I think the intent, as we're selecting a brick, will be to try to pick something that is as close of a match in size and color to what's existing in the historical perspective. To the extent possible. That being said, we don't really know what we're getting into other than a few areas where the paint is peeling, and we've been able to kind of peek beneath that. So I think the intent of the project is to blend in with the masonry that's on the front facade, both in terms of the coursing, the brick itself, the mortar joints, the mortar composition. But I am hoping that we can have a little bit of latitude to make some decisions once we start peeling the temporary protection of this facade back, and you really start to see what it is that we're looking at. I will add that this project under a previous iteration was approved by the National Park Service for historic preservation tax credits. The current iteration iteration of the project that we're working on does have some changes to it from the exterior rehabilitation perspective, but we are also pursuing historic preservation tax credits and looking to update the previous approval. So not that I'm asking this board to defer any of its authority, but I think understanding that as we move forward with this project, all of the details that we're talking about here will be subject to the review and approval of the Pennsylvania Historical and Museum Commission and the National Park Service. I'm hoping gives some level of comfort that there are some additional eyes with a high level of scrutiny that will be on this project. The other component to this project, as it relates to this review this evening, is the window replacement. If you refer back to the memorandum between the previous owners and the city from 2019, there was a requirement in there that wood windows be reinstalled back in this project. That is not our intent with what we're presenting here this evening. What we are intending to do is to replace all of the windows on the building with new aluminum replacement windows. So divided lights appearance on the exterior, generally double hung functions throughout, but an aluminum replacement window is what we're asking for approval, not the wood windows that were part of the original memorandum of agreement. As a point of reference, what's on this building, on this front facade that we're looking at, all of the wood windows are gone. I believe they were removed when the facade stabilization was put in place, so all of the sashes are gone. The only thing left are the frames themselves. I think that was done part of the means and methods of attachment of this temporary facade that's fastened through the masonry openings where the windows had been. So none of the windows on this facade are existing. I believe I've counted 3.5 wood windows that still exist anywhere on the building. On the back facade, the entire upper floor has already been replaced with vinyl windows. So the intent throughout the project is all new aluminum replacement windows, which would, as I mentioned earlier, be approved by the National Park Service as part of the tax credit application. In the packet, I had also included a letter of recommendation, or a letter of support, I should say, from Bob Powers, who is our historic preservation tax credit consultant on this project, providing a letter of support for the aluminum window replacement as well as the masonry approach that we're suggesting for the project. So some of the other things, just, for your information, I did provide a narrative which kind of provides a high-level overview on both the 227 and the 221 building of kind of what we're doing on the overall facades. The work is by design intended to be relatively minimal and more in the terms of rehabilitation than renovation on both buildings. We are looking to make some modifications on the street level facade of North Prince Street, as you can see in the packet. We are looking to remove the modern ramp that's on the exterior of the building and the modern entrance to the former restaurant that was here, moving the accessible circulation inside the building and try to get it off the facade, and trying to work with the facade as it exists today, but also renovate it into something that's a little bit more appropriate in terms of rhythm and scale of the streetscape facade, and reflective of the proposed use of the building with both the resident tenant entrance and the business entrance. So I think that's kind of gives a high-level overview of the project as we've kind of presented it here.
So I believe you said it's not your intent to salvage many, if any, of the original bricks. It's more likely that they'll all be all new brick on the facade. Is that correct?
I think the intent is to salvage the bricks to the extent we can.
Okay.
And match with new. I mean, we have identified a replacement brick that is nearly identical in size to the bricks that are on the building. The bricks that are on there are not a standard modular brick. So we have identified some replacement bricks that will match in size. If we can salvage some bricks from that facade in usable condition. I think the intent is to salvage and reuse to the extent possible.
Okay. Having been involved in a number of tax credit projects, I can verify that the review in Harrisburg and in Washington is much more rigorous than you undergo here. So I feel confident that if you get approval from the Park Service for the tax credits, that there won't be any issues with the project. Are there any other questions or comments from the commission?
I agree with that. I feel comfortable deferring to the tax credit review. The one question I have, I know that it's several owners later, but the agreement that was signed, has that been modified to allow the window replacement?
The memorandum of, that memorandum has not been modified, no.
So perhaps our recommendation tonight should mention that change from wood windows to aluminum windows as approved by the National Park Service with respect to the tax credit application. Is there any member of the public with any questions about this application? Okay, if not, then the chair will entertain a motion regarding the application at 227 North Prince Street.
Should we do the second one, the state conditions?
I guess we should.
Okay.
Yeah.
Mr. Chairman, I recommend that City Council approve a certificate of appropriateness for new construction with the following conditions to address Secretary of Interior Standards numbers 2, 5, 6, 7, and 9. Incorporation, and that would be doing whatever the Park Service recommends for the tax credits, and also then modifying the agreement to be able to use replacement windows with the city, the agreement with the city. Incorporation of these changes or conditions as agreed upon by the applicant will allow the proposal to meet the Secretary of Interior standards numbers 2, 5, 6, 7, and 9. These conditions are part of the Historical Commission's recommendation of approval. If approved by City Council, the property owner is required to perform the work in accordance with these conditions. If any project details are revised, the building materials are changed, or as stated conditions cannot be met, it is the applicant's responsibility to notify staff of potential changes to the approved work and follow up with the Historical Commission review may be required before the project is completed.
Okay, is there a second to that motion? All those in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed? Okay, motion carried.
Thank you all.
Ted, this goes to City Council on August 13th. I'll send you the motion. You probably maybe want to be present there just because of the time lapse and the prominence of the building, that they might have questions. Not concerns, but questions. Okay?
Okay. Moving right along. Item number 4 on the agenda is the property at 138 Stevens Avenue. Nicholas Collado, owner. The application is for new construction, the installation of a one-story manufactured dwelling at the rear of the parcel behind an existing one-story cement block structure.
Good evening, David Bennett with Engineering and Nicholas Collado.
Could you turn on your
Oh, there we go. Sorry. So Nicholas is looking to move an existing manufactured home to the rear of his property at 138 Stevens Avenue. Currently, there is an existing building on the front portion of the property, which is, I think through the review, I think it was built in the 1920s. It's had several uses throughout its history. Right now, Nicholas uses it as a community center. So he's looking to put his manufactured home on the rear of the property due to that building kind of being, you can't get that pulled all the way up to the front. We have actually gone through a zoning variance to allow that to be pushed back to the back of the property. We got that approval a couple of weeks ago.
So you've met all the setback requirements?
Yes, outside of because it's required to be set on the front setback of the property, but we couldn't do that because of the existing building, so we got a variance to push it back towards the back of the property.
Okay.
So I know there's some pictures of the existing building and the manufactured home as well in the package. So like I said, this manufactured home already exists. He's going to move it here as his primary residence. So I think since this is in the Heritage Conservation District, we had to come to get approval from the Historic Commission. Yeah, so here's some pictures of what the dwelling looks like.
Okay. So this structure will just be brought in, set in place?
Correct, yeah, it'll be placed on a concrete pad. And then I know there's some requirements in the zoning ordinance that has to meet like all the, the wheels that were there to move it, they'll all be removed.
Okay.
It'll be there permanently, it's not gonna get relocated.
But I believe, Suzanne, in your review, you had remarked that it could be acceptable because of the fact that it could be removed at a later date. So it's possible to pull this structure.
Theoretically,
off
yeah, it could be, yeah. But I know in the zoning ordinance, there's certain stipulations, one of them being that the axles have to be removed.
Yeah.
They could be put back in the future.
Okay.
Are you
Yeah.
putting a foundation of any sort down?
There will be a concrete pad that's going to be set
Just
on,
be sitting on a pad.
Yeah.
correct. Yeah. I would assume it'd be tied down.
Yes,
Will the structure be attached to the pad? In
Yes.
What format will it be attached?
yes,
Because that determines how permanent it is.
yeah, they're going to be permanent house. It's going to be permanent,
Oh, I understand.
attached, yeah, sitting on it.
Okay, so you're attaching it to the pad.
Yeah, it's going to be attached, bordering to the top, to that.
It's not movable.
Okay.
No, it's not going to be movable no more.
Tear it down.
Yeah, okay. This is an unusual application. I think this is the first one of its kind we've ever seen, a building that's already existing being moved to the site. Because I would say generally, if this were being built new on this site, the design of the building doesn't meet the standards. But because it's an existing structure that couldn't be removed without any adverse effect to any historic structures on the site or in the neighborhood, that it could be, deemed acceptable.
Where it is now, does it have the axles and everything on it now, or is that skirts just covers it?
Yeah, it's something that covers it. Yeah, but everything going to be off for that. It's going to be on the cement.
Well, that's between you and the zoning.
Right, I was just
zoning
curious.
board, yeah.
What is the distance that you're keeping from the proposed mobile home to the existing commercial building?
So the plan that we have right now is based off of GIS, so we don't have hard survey. But we're showing, I don't have that dimension on here. I think it was 7 to 8 feet, if I remember. But again, we don't have hard survey on that yet, so yeah, at least 5 feet. Okay.
Fire separation distance between structures, yeah. Does any member of the commission have any concerns or questions about this?
Are you keeping that shed in the back?
What is that?
To me, there looks like there's a shed in the back.
Yeah, it's in the back,
Seen
yeah.
it on the plans.
Oh, I never,
That's staying?
Are you keeping the shed?
yeah, I can bring it in, yeah,
Okay.
Okay.
to the side.
I'm sorry, let me rephrase that. I brought up the table on my phone. If you're 5 feet to 10 feet, you're gonna need to the walls are gonna need to be 1 hour rated. So I don't know this existing building. So you're gonna have to deal with that. And then you're gonna have to also look at the existing openings within the commercial building, within your building, and make sure you comply with Chapter 7 for your opening limitations.
Okay,
So it could have a definite impact on you bringing this building in.
What was the second part of that, did you mention?
Yeah, but they're building on it. They're just.
Oh, it has to be both sides.
Yeah. Okay, so that's an issue with the building
Yeah.
department.
What was the second part you mentioned? Yeah,
Chapter 7.
That's not relevant to the historical commission, but it's something that you need to be aware of. And,
Right.
I'm sorry, let's go back for a second here. We had said that the city wants it to be able to be removed, yes? Just in case.
Well, under the Secretary of Interior standards, it would be reversible, so
The city
that's
wants it fixed.
yeah, but
Yeah.
that's why Suzanne was saying
I
it should
understand.
be acceptable or appropriate.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because once it's attached, it's not removable.
Zoning doesn't want it to be
I understand, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I need
Yeah.
clarification.
No, I don't want to move it anymore. I don't want to move it anymore. That's why I want to be here.
Let me see if I can find the here, I'll just read Suzanne's review. Proposal is not typical infill construction entailing installation of a manufactured dwelling that was not originally designed for this urban site, nor meant to relate to the existing CMU building that fronts the street. As a prefabricated building, the design standards that typically guide the Commission's review of proposals do not apply, including design decisions related to size or scale and selection of building materials and architectural details. That's not the part I was looking for. Commission should assess whether the manufactured home is appropriate as modern construction that does not directly impact the street face and will not detract from the modest utilitarian structures at the site. The dwelling could be considered reversible per SISR number 10 if later removed from the site. That's the part I was looking for. So. Any other questions or comments?
I think on a different site, this probably would not be acceptable, but I think since it's going to be at the rear of the property and this is, the way that this is constructed is very temporary. It's not going to be there.
100 years from now, yeah.
I'm
Okay. Any member of the public have any questions or comments about this application? If not, the chair will entertain a motion regarding property at 138 Stevens Avenue.
Mr. Chairman, I propose a motion to approve certificate of appropriateness for proposed new construction, install one-story manufactured dwelling at the rear of the parcel behind an existing one-story cement block structure at 138 Stevens Avenue per the submitted plans. This work meets the Secretary of Interior Standards number 9 and 10.
Okay, thank you, John. Is there a second to the motion?
I'll second.
All those in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed? Motion carried.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Because they are recommending body, it has to go on to city council, which they will hear it on August 13th, and I'll send you the language. City council approves it, allows you to go on to the building permit, but I think you have to have discussions with the building code piece.
Yeah, there's a stormwater plan that needs
Well,
done
that
too.
too, but building code is also needs to wait.
Okay.
Okay?
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next item on the agenda then is 50 East New Street and 630 North Duke Street, Spanish American Civic Association for Equality Incorporated owners. This is an application for new construction to construct a new three-story masonry stair tower on the building's west elevation, set back from the East New Street elevation.
Yeah, let's see.
I think in the interest of time, we're just going to go with what's up there. So we're prepared to present something more than that, but I don't know that's necessary. So.
So this is the I believe this was a CM Urban building. He did the rehab.
Is that correct, Suzanne?
Yeah.
I did not know that.
No, I think he did the renovations. He converted to the Spanish River.
I had hit on another architect's name, but.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, interesting.
I've seen drawings for this in the Emlyn Urban Archive.
Oh, really? Yeah.
Did the one on East Lemon, the same Kuiper guy.
Yeah.
Got it. Yeah. Okay. Gary Weaver with Tippett Weaver Architects. With me tonight is Sandra Valdez from SACA. I think if you have any questions specifically about the program, the Nuestra Clinica program, Sandra could take care of those questions. Also with me tonight is John Sullenberger from our office. So just as an introduction to the project, this is a residential program for drug and alcohol rehabilitation. It's a Spanish language program. It's been in this location for over 25 years at this point.
Keeping a low profile.
I'm sorry?
I said keeping a low profile. I didn't know it was there.
So it's been in operation for over 25 years at this point. A little over a year ago, or at least at this point, SACA purchased the building next door to this on North Duke Street, so 630 North Duke, and would like to expand the program. It is a program that has had a lot of activity. I think they have 26 beds in there currently. It's quite full. They have bedrooms where they have 3 and 4 people in a single bedroom. They don't really have much in the way of communal space. They don't really have much in the way of dining space. They don't have a kitchen that's within the facility. All the meals are brought into the building. And so the thinking in purchasing the building next door is to really solve many of those problems and expand the program to the property next door. So I can take you through the project quickly, just to kind of give you an overview. So with that, Susan, could you move back to the beginning of the presentation, like the first, and actually we can go through the first couple of slides and we don't really need the Sanborn information. I did realize that the aerial on this needed to be updated, which is one of the things that we did in the presentation. But so this is a photograph of, the top photograph really shows the streetscape along New Street. The building in question is right in the center, the sort of pink colored building. It does include the one-story garage that's on the right-hand side. The lower photographic elevation includes 50 New Street on the corner, and then right next to that, the building that they purchased, 630 North Duke Street. Next slide, please. So the top would be the north elevation of the building, and the lower view would be the east elevation. That's correct. Does it say west? Yeah. So it's the west side of North Duke Street, but it is the east elevation.
Right, correct.
So you got that? Yeah. So this is the floor plan of the existing building at the top. So towards the top of the page, you can see existing 50 New Street. This is the plan showing the renovations. So and it's really hard to see in this particular, the colors are really hard to see in the presentation up there. But what we have, and maybe it's clear on what you have, there's...
Pretty clear on our screen.
Yeah, okay, so there's a pink area, which is the existing building, and then the green area is the new construction. So the green area, we're showing a new stair tower that's constructed towards the back or west portion of the existing building. And then at 630 North Duke, we're actually building towards the back of that, where we're getting a new kitchen, new dining room, and revising some of the circulation on the first floor. The thinking on this is to really move the office space and the intake to 630 North Duke and to the front portion of 50 New Street. And so those office spaces will be towards the front. We will be continuing to maintain the entrance on New Street, which is a residence entrance, but the primary point of kind of intake and new residents would be off of North Duke Street, where they come into an intake area that's in the North Duke Street property. As we go up through the building, the next sheet shows all the floor plans. And again, the green areas show the portions of the building that are new. And so in fact, we have a 3-story addition at the back of 630 on North Duke Street. And then we have an overbuild over the back wing of that building as well. The only new construction along New Street is really the stair tower that's tucked back in where the parking is currently. Okay. And then the elevations on the next sheet, again, the existing buildings are shown in a sort of tan color, and the new addition is in the pale green color. And so as we look at the New Street elevation, you can see the stair tower to the right-hand side. We are going to have a section of fencing that sort of encloses the backyard and connects to the 1-story building that's at the back of the site. And we also have an enclosure along there where we're trying to take care of the trash enclosure and so forth. We are maintaining the 2 parking spaces that are there, which currently those parking spaces, there is an existing stair tower or existing exterior stair that's in this same location, which sort of comes back across the back portion of this site. And the parking is kind of tucked under that currently. So that stair is being removed and a new stair tower is being constructed. On the right-hand side of the exterior elevations, west elevation, you can see the rear section of the new addition that's at the North Duke Street project. And then as we look at the lower elevations, we have the new construction at the back of 630 North Duke Street.
So the only thing that's visible from the street and reviewable by the historical commission is
stair tower. Yeah. Everything else is pretty much concealed behind the building. Yeah. And so the construction of the new stair tower, the materials that we've selected on that are a ground face block. We are going to be changing the color of the stucco that's on the New Street building. We have, and so just to kind of take you through the materials that we have up here.
So it's not going to be pink anymore?
It's not going to be pink anymore. So there was a previous person who liked.
I like the pink.
There was a previous person who. I do have to say.
There's another building in the city that color.
I do have to say one of the first things that Jose Lopez told us when we started is the pink has to go. So it is going to be changed to a more of a buff-colored stucco. We are currently thinking that we're going to maintain the existing windows. There's currently storm windows on the exterior of those windows, which we're going to remove. We're going to put interior storms on them and then repair the existing windows. We're going through the possibility of replacement of the windows, but right now, based on the budget, we probably aren't going to replace all the windows. So. Okay. The new addition on the back of 630 is going to also be a stucco finish on the lower level. It is going to have a siding or metal siding on the upper floor. Has some infill panels that are composite material. And then we have a sort of bronze-colored aluminum that's going to be on the windows for that. So the color palette for both buildings are these colors here. The ground face block would be this sort of tan color. Okay.
That is to coordinate with the new stucco color.
There's going to be 2 different stuccos. One's going to be slightly darker. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Yep.
Okay.
That's really what we had to present. So, yeah.
Any questions or comments from the commission? It's a very fairly straightforward project.
One other thing I should say is we are doing some work on the 1-story building as well. There's sort of a pent roof on it right now and an infill in the garage, and we're redoing that infill in the garage door. So.
Yeah, I was going to say, Suzanne, can you scroll back to the existing conditions of the garage? So that's a new.
We are renovating the garage structure, yeah. Yeah, you can see it there on the right-hand side, so.
You're recreating a garage door.
Yeah, it's a fixed panel system with windows in it that looks more like a garage door. Yes, yeah. That portion of the project is really only going to be accessible. It's currently a couple offices and some storage. It's going to end up being more of a recreational space for the residents, and it will only be accessed from the courtyard space at the back.
So similar to the project you did a couple years ago, many years ago on East Mifflin Street,
I'm sorry, on
on East Mifflin.
the Gaudensia project.
Gaudensia project,
Yeah.
That
Kind of,
wasn't right, you kind of recreated the
Yeah.
carriage house doors.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, similar in character to that, yes, yeah. Also a program that's not too dissimilar, so, yeah. Different demographic. That's women and children. But, yeah.
This is all males.
Yeah, this is all males in this program. Yeah.
okay, so these samples are for color only, and like the windows, you're not proposing window replacement.
We're not proposing window replacement at this time, no. So we're going to go to essentially a dark kind of bronze color on the frames of the windows and a sort of reddish color for the sash.
Okay.
Very frankly, right. So.
I don't think the new garage opening was mentioned in the application. Is that not reviewable?
Just changing.
Changing the openings, not reviewable, so, okay.
That's just.
Okay, so it's really just the stair tower. Okay. Not,
And the fencing is not reviewable either?
no,
Okay,
because it doesn't, there's no roof over it, so it's
got it.
considered part of it. Okay, are there any questions, comments from the commission? Any questions or comments from the public? We have one member of the public left. Hearing no other questions or comments, the chair will entertain a motion for the application at 50 East New Street.
Mr. Chairman, I recommend the City Council approve a certificate of appropriateness for the proposed new construction to construct a new three-story masonry stair tower on the west elevation of the building at 50 East New Street. Per the submitted architectural plans and proposed building materials, this work meets the Secretary of Interior standards number 9 and 10.
Okay, is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed? Motion carried.
Okay,
Thank you so much. It's also, you do not have demolition except for the stair, the existing.
Existing stair.
Not a structure.
Yeah.
So it's just new construction, and their recommendation will go to City Council on August 13th.
Great, thank you.
Okay, and last item on the agenda for this evening is the application for 335 Ruby Street, Tom and Karen Reiner's owners. This is an application for demolition of a one-story rear brick wing on the house east elevation, as well as demolition of a one-story three-bay brick garage, and new construction of a two-story frame addition to the house's east elevation, and construction of a new two-story building with two garage bays and second-story residential space. This is a project that we saw conceptually in December. So if you could really just focus on any changes since then. Sure. So, or maybe give us a brief overview, because John was not at, okay, we have two members who were not at the December meeting. So if you could kind of give us a 30,000 foot overview of the project, and then highlight if there are any changes from the December meeting.
Sure thing. Is this better?
It's-
Oh, yeah. No worries.
So, yeah,
I'm sorry?
you're fine, you're fine.
Okay, all right. And so to hook up here, is there a HDMI that I can hook up
I
to?
don't know that outlets in the table work.
Oh, no, okay.
You might have to put it in.
Oh, no.
Just for show. I think you need to slide down here.
Okay, no worries, no worries. I think I have enough of
Got a little bit more like.
here. Okay. There we go. They changed Adobe around and I don't know where the commands are anymore. Yeah, right? Is it F10? All right. There is a command where you can go into full screen. And, oh, there we go, Control L.
There you go.
Great. All right, so thank you. It's good to be back here again. And I'll just go for a quick review through the project. And the project is at the corner of Ruby Street and 4th Street in the southwest part of the city. And so these are just a few images of the context with lots of the smaller townhouses, attached townhouses mostly. And this is a little bit unusual in the neighborhood because it's a standalone four-square built in around 1923, 1924. Can't tell precisely when it was built, but so it's a fairly standard brick four-square from that time period. And what we want to do is we want to take off the existing back one-story extension here. There's currently a kitchen in there, and we also want to remove this enclosed porch there and then build upon that existing foundation a two-story addition with a new gable roof. And then the existing garage back here is built around the same time as the house. It's 3 cars. It's quite small. The main issue with the existing garage is that it's right on the property line. And structurally, it's in very poor condition. There's about a 3 to 4 foot retaining wall at the neighbor's property line. And the back wall has moved. As you can see over here, there's about a 1 to 2 inch gap, basically showing that the back wall is moving into the neighbor's yard. And you can see the number of horizontal cracks in the bedding joint of the masonry, indicating that it's not in great shape. You can also see the stepped cracks on the side walls. So the concern is that...
Really big cracks in the floor slab, too.
Exactly. I mean, it's like classic retaining wall movement where the wall's kicking out and then the soil is sinking below it and the concrete is cracking there. So at this location, the proposal is to take down the existing garage and to build a new 2-car garage. Let me flip over to the drawings here to give you a better idea of the actual scale of that. So the current situation is shown here with the garage. So we're right on the property line. And then the proposed is here. On the north end of the property, the north side of the property, we're looking at maintaining a 5-foot setback there. We're also pushing the garage back so that we're clearing the neighbor's building to maintain light and air for the neighbor. On this side, we're encroaching on that 5-foot setback, and we obtained a maintenance easement from the neighbor on this side. This was all reviewed at zoning in October, and here is the elevations of the existing building. Get a sense of the garage there. And the proposed drawings. So basically with the garage, we're looking at 2 cars down below, little door here, staircase up to the second floor. And we just got a 1-bedroom apartment layout up there. And then for the proposed elevations, we do have the new garage there. The idea for that, actually let me go over to the presentation boards where we have a colored elevation there. So we've got the 2-story, we've got the brick veneer on the lower level. We have board and batten hardy board, so cement fiber siding on the upper level. And then for the extension on the house, we have then siding, again, fiber cement, James Hardie product that we're using there. And then Suzanne had reviewed the project and had expressed some concerns about the massing and the scale. And so what I had done is just do a little massing model, because I think the elevations are maybe a little bit confusing. If you're looking at the west elevation, you know, the garage does look very present. But what I wanted to show here is that it's really set back on the site. And so as you're coming down Ruby Street, it's really not visible until you get quite close to the house. And as you come up to it, then you can see that the idea is that with this, you know, we have the neighbors here that have the gable roof with the shed dormer, and kind of the concept is that we're taking that similar form, rotating it 90 degrees, and then we're keeping a very similar language to the existing house with the line of the roof having the same angle, and then also keeping just the rhythm of the two windows there in the front. And so as you continue down, you can see that when you're looking at it from the corner of Ruby Street and 4th Street, it's really hidden behind the house. And it's really only as you come along 4th Street that it's kind of sticking out right there.
If I remember the conversation from December, the concern was kind of the proximity to the existing house. John, you remember, were there any issues with fire separation distance, because we have 2 dwelling units?
Yeah, because it's the dwelling unit and it's a fine line. It's an accessory structure. It's your garage. But you're making another dwelling unit within there. An accessory structure on a lot required, you could have it right up against. There's no separation requirements. With the dwelling units, and honestly, I have to dig into the code on that, whether or not it would be classified as an accessory structure or with the dwelling unit. I still tend to think that if I look into the definitions, it probably still might be classified as an accessory structure to that.
Okay.
Okay, I mean,
The issue really is fire separation distance and proximity of windows to each other, and the distance of a fire in one structure jumping across to the other. And if the windows are arranged in such a way that there's no, if there are no openings between the buildings, then it's a fairly simple problem to solve.
right. And at the existing building, the distance between the existing building and the proposed accessory, I'm maintaining a minimum of 5 feet
5
separation there.
Okay.
I know from the discussion in December, there was some concern about the eave overhanging into that 5-foot space.
Yeah.
And I think we exchanged a couple of emails after the meeting there, just determining that the underside of that eave would need to have fire protection on it.
Okay. Yeah, because the code does address extensions beyond the exterior wall. Again, I mean, I think that's a building code issue and not a historical commission issue, but it does have an effect on the design if it becomes if it's a problem. But I think you've demonstrated that the building is kind of set back well enough, and it's lower than the existing building. It's obviously secondary to the primary structure. I don't have an issue with it encroaching upon the house.
I've done nicely, I think this looks nice. Can I ask you about the hardy board? And the colors that you have, can I?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, can we see those? So we're looking at 2 different blues.
Yes, we're looking at the deep ocean for the ADU, and then an evening blue for the extension on the house.
So on the screen, it's reading as a very bright blue.
Okay.
But those are
Muted.
those are
I
to me they're gray with just a whisper of blue.
no, that's a good.
Yeah.
I mean, I tried to use the app to get the correct CMYK value, and then obviously the monitors had other ideas. But
With the hardy board, is there a reason why one of them is vertical? One is vertical and the other one is horizontal. On the house, it seems to be horizontal, and it's vertical on the thing.
correct. Yeah, we like the. We were thinking about doing the board and batten on the house, but we figured that the vertical movement there was a little bit. We felt that the house is such a vertical sensibility to it that we like the horizontal as a way to kind of temper that a bit. And then on the ADU, we just like the differentiation between the two. That this is a secondary structure. It came later.
Well, actually using the board and batten is more typical for a secondary structure for barns and garages and things. So I think you've made the right choice for using the more refined horizontal lap siding for the house and the board and batten for the accessory structure.
Okay.
So. Any other questions or comments? We have no public left, so then the chair will entertain a motion for this application for demolition and new construction at 50 East New Street. Because it's demolition and new construction, there will be 2 motions. Volunteers?
It's 335 Ruby Street. Yeah.
335 Ruby Street.
Yeah.
Mr. Chairman, I recommend the City Council approve a certificate of appropriateness for the proposed demolition, demolish a 1-story rear brick wing on the east elevation of 335 Ruby, visible from 4th Street, and allow new construction in this location. I don't see one for the garage. Do we?
It's actually 4 separate
Okay.
recommendations.
That's
2 for demolition and 2 for, okay. Okay. We should vote on them individually, Suzanne?
Yes, because people may want to, the law says A, it's different standard, people might want to vote differently.
Okay. Okay, so the first motion is for the demolition of the rear brick wing on the house.
You need a second.
And there's a second to that motion? Okay, all those in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed? Motion carried.
Mr. Chairman, I'm going to recommend the other, just demolition and then go back to new construction.
Okay, that's fine.
Mr. Chairman, I recommend the City Council approve a certificate of appropriateness for the proposed demolition, demolish an existing one-story, three-bedroom brick garage at the northeast, corner of the parcel of 335 Ruby Street to allow new construction at the site. This work meets the Secretary of Interior's standard 1 and 2.
Okay, is there a second to that motion? All those in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed? Okay, then that recommendation for demolition of the garage is passed. So now we are looking at a recommendation for construction of a two-story frame addition at the rear of the house.
Mr. Chairman, I recommend the City Council approve a certificate of appropriateness for the proposed new construction. Construct a two-story frame addition to the east elevation of 335 Ruby Street to feature horizontal clapboard siding and 9/1 fiberglass windows per the submitted plans. This work meets the standard of Interior's standard number 9.
Okay, is there a second to that motion?
Second.
Okay, all those in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed? Motion carried. And then finally, we need a motion for the construction of the new garage.
Mr. Chairman, I recommend that City Council approve a certificate of appropriateness for the proposed new construction. Construct a new two-story building with 2 garage bays and a second-story residential space at 335 Ruby Street. Feature a brick veneer ground floor carriage house style overhead garage doors, vertical board and batten cementitious siding on the second floor, hip wall dormers, double hung 1/1 windows, and asphalt roof shingles per the submitted plans. This work meets the Secretary of Interior standard number 9 and the design standards.
Okay, and is there a second to that final motion?
Second.
All those in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed? Motion carried.
Okay, great. Thank you very much.
Mr. Renier, because they're a recommending body only and yours does involve demolition, it has to start at the committee level, which the committee will meet on August 5th, and then it'll go to full council the following week, August 13th. You maybe don't have to go to the August 13th meeting, but you should attend the committee meeting, and I'll send you everything in writing.
Okay, all right, sounds good. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, item number 8 on the agenda, other business, public participation. Public's gone. Item number 9, assignment of commission members to take part in the August 13th city council meeting and/or the August 5th council committee meeting. Do you need? August 5th, let me see. That is a Monday. I mean, I could do one or the other, so we could tag team, so, okay. Okay, I don't have a preference. I'm free both. You said the other one is the 13th, that's a Tuesday, so, yeah, I'm free both nights, so. So let us know closer to the date and we will work it out.
Everybody can get out there and say that. City council has no. You're welcome to a couple of years enough, though.
there being no other business before the commission, I will call it adjourned at 7:10 PM.